Assumptions in RightCapital are your opportunity to better align RightCapital's future-looking projections with your unique advising philosophy. The More menu, Assumptions tab of the Advisor portal allows you to personally tailor the asset return, inflation, and miscellaneous assumptions that will be used as the global assumptions across all of your client plans. The Asset Return tab is where you can update the asset return assumptions that will be used by RightCapital's Monte Carlo and cash flow projections. Each asset class allows you to specify the interest, dividend, and capital gain percentages, the sum of which make up the total return. You can customize the percentages for each field or choose to use an available preset. The Historical Index Returns preset is the default selection in RightCapital. These assumptions are based on 20 to 50 years of historical data from various market indices. This set of assumptions is curated by RightCapital and is updated on an annual basis. The Forward-Looking Assumptions preset contains assumptions that are derived from JP Morgan's Long-Term Capital Market Assumptions Report. Just like the historical returns, these figures are also updated on an annual basis. Lastly, you can create customized return options by selecting this option here. This allows you to enter the interest, dividend, and capital gain percentages for each asset class. This option provides the most flexibility, allowing you to manually customize all of your return percentages. To customize your assumptions, simply click on the fields you would like to modify and enter your preferred values. Be sure to click the blue Save button in the lower right to lock in your assumptions. For more information on asset return assumptions, please feel free to utilize the Help Center link at the top of the Asset Return tab. This article provides more specific details on both the historical and forward-looking return presets and provides some important considerations to keep in mind when dialing in your personal return assumptions. Before moving on, I want to quickly note that if your firm has opted to lock in a set of firm-wide return assumptions, you may be unable to make adjustments here. If this is the case, any questions or requests to change return assumptions should be directed to the administrator of your firm. If you are a Platinum subscriber with custom asset classes enabled, asset return presets will be disabled and you'll have an additional functionality to update volatility values, add new asset classes, and adjust asset class correlations. For more details, please see our separate training video dedicated to custom asset classes. The Inflation tab is where you can review and update the inflation assumptions that will be used across all of your client plans in RightCapital. 5 different inflation rates are used to project corresponding income goals and expenses out into the future. You can customize the percentages for each type of inflation independently. General inflation is used to adjust living expenses and general goals. Healthcare cost inflation adjusts healthcare and long-term care goals. Education cost inflation adjusts pre-college and college goals. Social Security inflation adjusts Social Security benefit amounts. Lastly, tax inflation will adjust tax bracket thresholds and retirement account contribution limits. Under the 5 inflation rates, you can also customize inflation timing for future items. By using these checkboxes, you can specify whether the values entered for cash flow items, such as goals, income, savings, or expenses, will inflate between now and the start date of the item. Please note that some items, which are specified in the tooltip on the right, will not be impacted by this assumption. Last is the Miscellaneous tab, which is home to a number of miscellaneous assumptions, as well as the return model assumption used for the Monte Carlo projections. There are 3 miscellaneous assumptions that can be adjusted at a global level. First, the cost of purchasing a real estate property represents the typical costs associated with purchasing a property. The cost of selling a real estate property represents typical real estate agent fees associated with selling a property. These assumptions will impact property purchases and sales respectively, as well as primary home relocations. The expense adjustment upon the death of a co-client represents the reduction in living expenses associated with the death of a client or co-client. This expense adjustment will impact pre-retirement and retirement living expenses for the surviving client and will only occur within joint plans. At the bottom of the page are the return model assumptions, which allow you to adjust the Monte Carlo calculations in RightCapital. Although adjusting these settings is entirely optional, the model type and calculation type assumptions provide an additional layer of flexibility for advisors who want to tailor the way the Monte Carlo projections simulate market volatility and calculate future asset returns. For more information on the return model and miscellaneous assumptions, please feel free to utilize the Help Center link at the bottom of this page. This article will outline each of the miscellaneous assumptions, as well as the impact of each Monte Carlo model type and calculation type. As I mentioned, the selections that you make within the Assumptions tab of the Advisor Portal will determine your global assumptions in RightCapital. Global assumptions are always used as a starting point whenever you create a new client household. However, within each plan, you can choose to use either your global assumptions or a set of customized household-specific assumptions. To do this, open a client plan and then navigate to the gear icon, Settings tab. The asset return assumptions can be adjusted at the client level within the Return Assumptions tab. The inflation and miscellaneous assumptions can both be adjusted within the Other Assumptions tab. You can freely toggle back and forth between global and customized assumptions at any time within your financial plans. Making changes to assumptions here will not impact your global assumptions or any of your other financial plans. And that covers it for our overview of assumptions within RightCapital. If you have any additional questions about any of the assumption types, please don't hesitate to reference the resources within the RightCapital Help Center or to reach out to our advisor support team for more details.